just
claim to have actually filmed Bigfoot. Their story will be an interesting addition to my...
It was supposed to be a fun night. Just a group of friends exploring and enjoying the thrill of being somewhere different. But everything changed the moment they stepped deep into a massive cornfield. Surrounded by tall, endless rows of corn, the outside world disappeared behind them. At first, it felt exciting, like they were inside a movie. But then, something shifted. A strange, unsettling sound echoed through the field. It was faint at first, but it didn't stay that way. Slowly, it started getting closer. One of them, clearly shaken, said, "Dude, what is happening? It's getting closer to me."
We're wind, dude. What the fuck's happening? It's getting closer to me. Here, but it sounds real far off.
And just like that, fear took over. The group froze, hearts pounding, eyes scanning the darkness between the corn rows. One friend tried to stay calm, whispering, "It sounds really far off." But even he didn't sound convinced. The sound didn't move normally. It didn't feel natural. It was as if something unseen was circling them, getting closer, then pulling away, then closer again. Every instinct told them something wasn't right. Should they run or stay still? In that moment, even the smallest sound made them jump. What started as fun quickly turned into a nightmare they couldn't explain. The entire experience felt like a real-life scene from Jeepers Creepers, where something unknown hides just out of sight. To this day, they don't know what was out there in that cornfield, or how close it really got. Some things don't need to be seen to be terrifying. So tell me, if you heard something like that in the dark, would you run, or would you stay and find out what it was? A Jeep driver was traveling along a quiet forest trail in Manitoba when something unusual appeared beside the road. The forest was calm, with tall trees lining both sides of the narrow path. Everything seemed normal, until something strange forced him to slow down. As he carefully drove forward, he noticed a dark shape standing among the trees. Instinctively, he pulled out his camera and managed to capture what he saw.
And claim to have actually filmed Bigfoot. Their story will be an interesting addition to my research.
Can you get closer?
Oh man!
Where is it? Where'd it go?
Where did it go? There it is! Look!
Standing between the trunks was a tall, black, hairy figure. It didn't move. It just stood there, partially hidden by the forest shadows. The shape was massive, too large to be a normal human being, yet strangely upright and almost human in form. For a moment, the situation felt unreal, like something out of a legend, or an old story whispered in fear. When the footage was later shared, people reacted with mixed opinions. Some believed it could be Bigfoot, a mysterious creature said to roam deep forests and avoid human contact. Others were skeptical, suggesting it might just be a hoax, perhaps a person wearing a costume and standing in the woods to create a viral moment. With no clear proof either way, the debate only grew stronger. To this day, no one can say for sure what was standing in the Manitoba forest that day. So tell me, do you think it was just a costume or something that shouldn't exist at all? On November 24th, 2025, a man named Kyle Campbell was driving along a quiet, isolated logging road in British Columbia, Canada, when something strange caught his attention. The area was deep in the woods, far from any nearby towns, making the moment even more unsettling. As he moved forward, he suddenly noticed something unusual in the distance and quickly pulled out his phone to record a short video. In the footage, a dark, upright figure can be seen standing partially hidden behind branches. It didn't move like a typical animal, and its shape didn't clearly match anything familiar. Kyle later explained that it was not a bear, not a human, and not any animal he could recognize. The way the figure remained still yet present created a chilling atmosphere, leaving more questions than answers. After capturing the brief clip, Kyle didn't stick around. Instead, he slowly backed away from the area, choosing safety over curiosity. What makes this story even more mysterious is that no further updates were ever shared. No confirmation, no explanation, just silence. So, what do you think Kyle really saw that day deep in the forest? A group of young girls decided to test out a camcorder they had just received as a Christmas gift. Excited and curious, they headed toward a nearby tunnel to record something fun and memorable. The atmosphere inside the tunnel was dark and echoing, adding a slightly eerie feeling to what started as an innocent moment of exploration. As they continued filming, everything seemed normal at first. Laughter, casual talking, and playful recording. But suddenly, one of the girls reacted with fear. She stopped, her voice changed, and she appeared genuinely shaken by something she had seen deeper inside the tunnel.
You see on the camera? Oh, yeah. Get your phone now. Get your phone now.
The camera, however, didn't clearly capture anything unusual, leaving the moment unclear and open to interpretation. The clip ends without any clear explanation. No visible figure, no confirmed movement, just a sudden shift in emotion that turned a simple recording into something unsettling. Moments like these often leave more questions than answers. So, what do you think she saw in that tunnel? And did you notice anything unusual? Otis Hardesty shared a chilling story about a friend living in Pennsylvania, United States, who claimed to have encountered Bigfoot. One day, his friend sent a video in a group chat, capturing what looked like a large, upright figure standing far in the distance. The setting appeared quiet and remote, adding an eerie tone to the footage that immediately caught attention. At first, Otis wasn't sure how to react. He questioned whether the video was real or just some kind of prank meant to fool others. But what made the situation more unsettling was his friend's tone. He sounded completely serious and fully convinced that what he saw was real. There was no hesitation, no laughter, just a strong belief that the figure in the distance wasn't something ordinary. Still unsure of what to believe, Otis decided to share the footage online, hoping that someone might be able to explain what was really captured. Was it simply a person far away, a trick of perspective, or something far more mysterious hiding in plain sight? With no clear answer, the mystery remains. So, if you saw that figure in the distance, would you believe it was Bigfoot? Before we go any further, I'd like to ask you for a quick favor. If you are enjoying the video so far, please give it a like. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the perfect time. We're getting closer to 30,000 subscribers, and once we hit that milestone, a few lucky subscribers will receive a special surprise. Now let's go back to the video. A man began noticing a disturbing pattern in his dog's behavior. At exactly 2 a.m., his dog would suddenly begin howling. The sound was loud, intense, and impossible to ignore. This didn't feel random anymore. So, he installed security cameras around his home, hoping to catch whatever might be triggering his dog's reaction. The very next night, just after 2 a.m., it happened again. The howling started right on time, but this time, the cameras were recording everything. When he checked the footage, he noticed something chilling. Near the edge of the building, a dark shape appeared, barely visible, but clearly there. The timing was too precise to ignore. His dog wasn't reacting without reason. It was reacting to that figure. But what exactly was it? The man couldn't identify the shape, and that only made things more disturbing. So, do you think dogs can sense things that we can't? A person driving down a quiet, empty road decided to record a short clip, capturing what seemed like an ordinary moment. The street was calm, with little to no traffic, and the surroundings appeared completely still. But as the camera focused ahead, something unusual came into view. Near the side of the road, a tall humanoid shadow appeared to be gripping a pole, standing unnaturally still in the dim lighting. At first glance, it looked almost human, but something about it felt off. The figure didn't move, didn't react, and seemed darker than the shadows around it. This raised immediate questions. Could it have been a person wearing dark clothing, possibly trying to scare anyone passing by? Or was it simply a strange shadow created by unusual lighting conditions, distorting what was actually there? With no clear source or additional footage to verify the moment, the mystery only deepens. Some viewers believe it could even be edited, making the entire clip questionable from the start. Without solid proof, it becomes a mix of perception and imagination. So, what do you think? Was it a real figure, a trick of light, or something completely staged? While hiking on a remote 35-acre property near Cherokee Park in northern Colorado, United States, a group of visitors made a surprising discovery. Deep in the quiet wilderness, they came across a set of unusual tracks imprinted in the snow-covered ground. The area was far from populated zones, making the finding even more intriguing and difficult to explain. The prints measured about 16 inches in length, with a stride of roughly 2.5 feet. This suggested something large and powerful had moved through the area. The property included a cabin that is usually abandoned during winter, and heavy snowdrifts often block access roads. However, this year's unusually mild winter allowed the hikers to reach the land, revealing what had been hidden before. Nearby human footprints from the visitors provided a clear comparison, making the mysterious prints stand out even more. The difference in size and spacing highlighted just how unusual these tracks really were. Standing there in the silence of the snowy landscape, the hikers couldn't shake the feeling that they were looking at something unexplainable. So, was it just an unknown animal? Or could it really be Bigfoot? In 2022, a hiker shared a mysterious image online that quickly caught attention across the internet. The photo was taken deep in a remote outdoor area, where the surroundings were quiet, isolated, and far away from any signs of human activity. According to the person who captured it, they noticed a strange figure standing in the distance. It was far enough that they could not see its face clearly or confidently identify what it actually was. Feeling uncertain and slightly unsafe in that moment, they decided not to get any closer. Instead, they simply took the picture from a distance and continued on their way without investigating further. What makes the image so unsettling is the shape and posture of the figure itself. The body structure looks unusual and does not clearly match a bear, a known animal, or any recognized species of ape. It appears to be standing in a way that feels unfamiliar and hard to explain, which immediately made viewers question what they were actually looking at. As more people examined the image closely, opinions became more divided, with each person noticing different details and drawing different conclusions from the same blurry scene. Some viewers suggested it might be Bigfoot, pointing to its upright posture and the deep forest environment where the photo was taken. However, even that explanation does not fully satisfy everyone, since the image lacks sharp detail, clear features, or any confirmed evidence. Over time, no solid or scientifically verified explanation has ever been proven, and the identity of the figure remains completely unknown. So, Looking at this unexplained moment captured in the wild, what do you think it really was? In a strange trail camera recording shared by Phantom Freak Official on TikTok, footage captured deep inside a forest at night quickly sparked intense online debate. The camera had been left running in a remote wooded area, and the clip was only discovered the following day while reviewing the recordings. In the video, a faint figure can be seen moving across the frame in a smooth but unnatural way, almost as if it is gliding rather than walking. After the clip began spreading online, viewers immediately started sharing different interpretations. Some believed the figure could be a ghost, pointing to its dim appearance and floating-like movement that doesn't match normal human motion. Others suggested it might be a cryptid tied to forest folklore, something unknown living deep in the wilderness. There are also those who think it could simply be a camera glitch or digital distortion, where lighting and motion blur create something that isn't really there. Despite all the theories, no clear explanation has been confirmed. The footage remains ambiguous, leaving viewers divided between supernatural belief and technical skepticism. So what do you think was actually captured in that forest at night? Something real moving through the woods, or just an illusion created by the camera? On a snowy night north of Winnipeg in Manitoba, Canada, a Reddit user shared a chilling account that quickly caught attention online. According to his story, his uncle was driving home around 11:30 p.m. The roads were quiet and empty, covered in falling snow that reduced visibility and made everything feel even more isolated. It was the kind of night where nothing should be moving, yet something did. As the uncle continued driving, his dash cam suddenly captured something strange near the edge of the road. A humanoid figure appeared for just a moment, darting quickly toward nearby trees and bushes before disappearing into the darkness of the forest. The movement was fast, but deliberate enough to leave an impression. It didn't move like a normal animal, and it didn't stay long enough to be clearly identified, making the moment even more unsettling. What made the sighting even more disturbing was how unnatural it seemed when reviewed later. People analyzing the story pointed out that bears typically hibernate during that season, and there was no visible tail or movement pattern that would suggest a wolf. Instead, the posture and proportions looked strangely human-like, leading many to speculate it could be Bigfoot. Still, there was no solid evidence to confirm what it actually was, leaving only theories and debate. So, if you were driving on that silent, snowy road and saw something like that disappear into the trees, what would you believe it was? Late one night, a girl was driving alone down a narrow road that cut straight through a dense, silent forest. The darkness felt heavier than usual, with only her headlights lighting up the empty path ahead. No other cars, no people, just endless trees on both sides. Everything seemed calm, until suddenly, she heard it.
Oh my god, no, fuck that.
A chilling scream echoed through the forest. It wasn't clear what it was, but it didn't sound normal. Her hands tightened on the steering wheel as fear instantly took over. The scream came again, louder this time. It felt closer. Too close. Her heart started racing as panic set in. Without thinking twice, she pressed harder on the gas, trying to escape whatever was out there. The road seemed longer than before, the darkness deeper, and the sound, it followed. She didn't dare look back. Every second felt heavier, like something was right behind her, just out of sight. The only thing on her mind was getting out of that forest as fast as possible. After that night, no one ever heard from her again. No calls, no messages, nothing. Whether she made it out safely or something else happened in that forest remains unknown. Some say the forest still holds secrets no one should ever uncover. So tell me, If you heard that scream in the middle of nowhere, would you stop or keep driving? In July 2021, a man and his girlfriend were hiking along the Lover's Lane Trail in Olympic National Park near the Sol Duc River in the United States. The trail was calm and scenic, perfect for a relaxing hike. But during their walk, they noticed something unusual in the distance, a dark figure standing far away. It was too far to clearly identify, and after watching it briefly, they assumed it was probably just a fallen tree or a shadow blending into the surroundings, so they continued on their way. Later that day, the man reviewed a photo he had taken during the hike. Curious, he decided to run the image through Google image search. The result caught him off guard. According to Google's AI, the image appeared to show a blurry figure that many people associate with Bigfoot. Surprised by this suggestion, he became even more curious about what he had actually captured in that moment. Wanting more opinions, he shared the image online. However, most viewers were not convinced. Many pointed out that the shape lacked clear features and could easily be explained by distance, lighting, or natural objects blending together. In the end, it seemed to be a classic case of pareidolia, where the human brain interprets vague shapes as something familiar. So, do you think it was really Bigfoot, or just the mind playing tricks? This footage was recorded by a worker employed by Pemex, one of Mexico's largest industrial companies, during an ordinary shift near the town of Cebadilla. He was going about his work when something in the distance caught his attention, something that did not belong in the landscape he had looked at countless times before. He raised his camera and began recording. At the top of a tall tree, standing completely upright against the sky, was a figure. It had the shape and silhouette of a woman. It was not sitting. It was not crouching. It was standing, at the very top of the tree, in a way that no person should be able to stand. The worker was visibly shaken, but he kept the camera steady long enough to capture what he was seeing. The figure barely moved. It simply stood there, on high above the ground, with a stillness that felt less like stillness and more like waiting. There was no wind strong enough to explain its balance. There was no structure, no platform, nothing visible beneath it that could support a human body at that height. Cebadilla is a small town, but it carries a long reputation for strange and unexplained events. Locals who have lived there for years say that sightings of this kind are not entirely uncommon in that area, and that the land itself seems to hold something that resists ordinary explanation. The worker eventually lowered his camera and moved away from the spot. The figure remained where it was unmoving, unbothered, still standing at the top of that tree as the distance between them grew. The footage was shared online and drew attention from people who had no easy answer to offer. No investigation followed. No official explanation was given. The tree stood in the same place it always had, in a town that had seen things like this before and would likely see them again. If you had been standing in that field during your shift and looked up to find a figure watching silently from the top of a tree, would you have stayed to keep recording? The image came from a lone traveler hiking along a remote trail, a path that a camper passing through the same area had once described as deeply isolated, with dense forest pressing in from every direction. At some point along the trail, at eye level, and positioned directly facing the path, something had been attached to a tree. It was deliberately arranged, and nothing about it felt natural or accidental. The structure was built entirely from animal bones, carefully placed in a way that felt immediately threatening, like a warning that had been left there specifically for whoever came next. The precision of its placement made it impossible to dismiss. It wasn't scattered or fallen. It was assembled, and it was meant to be seen. Yet not every discovery like this points directly to danger. Some researchers and investigators have noted that similar displays occasionally trace back to macabre art individuals who use found bones and natural remains to create symbolic expressions deep in the wilderness, arrangements built from personal ritual or artistic intent rather than any desire to cause harm. But knowing that changes very little when you are standing alone on a trail, far from any help, staring at something you cannot explain. The identity of whoever placed it there remains unknown. The reason behind it remains unknown. And that uncertainty is what lingers long after the image fades from your screen. If you found something like that watching over the trail in silence, would you keep walking, or would you turn back? This footage comes from a Ring doorbell camera mounted outside a private home, recording the front yard through the darkness of an ordinary night. The camera captures everything clearly: the stillness of the grass, the shadows along the edges of the yard, the quiet that belongs to late hours in a residential neighborhood. Then, without any warning or sound, a pale white shape appears in the center of the frame. It is translucent, soft at the edges, and unmistakably large, nothing like the small specks of dust that sometimes drift close to a lens. This was something different entirely. The figure has a human-like height and stays low, hovering just above the surface of the grass. It does not walk, it does not step. It moves slowly and smoothly from the left side of the yard toward the right, gliding across the open space in complete silence. Its form is misty but deliberate, holding its shape as it travels, unlike any insect or airborne particle the camera had ever recorded on previous nights. There is a stillness to the way it moves, unhurried, unbothered, as if it belongs there, more than anything else in the frame. It crosses the yard without pausing, and eventually fades quietly into the dark shadows at the far edge of the property. The camera continues recording. The yard returns to stillness. Nothing else moves for the remainder of the night. The homeowner reviewed the footage the following morning and found no explanation for what had passed through. No weather event, no equipment fault, no visitor. Just an empty yard, a running camera, and something pale that came and went without a sound. If that camera belonged to your home, and you watched this footage alone late at night, would you feel safe stepping outside? This footage was captured late at night and shared online by someone who had been standing outside when the stillness of the evening was broken by a faint, slow sound. The wind was almost completely absent that night. The leaves were motionless. The surrounding area was quiet in the way that deep nighttime hours often are not peaceful, but empty. Then came the sound of branches, barely audible, like something brushing slowly against wood. The person holding the camera looked up and pointed the lens toward the tree above. What appeared in the frame was a white figure, motionless and tall, positioned high among the dark branches. It did not move. It made no sound. It stood between the branches the way something stands when it is not concerned about being seen. Still, upright and fully present. The camera remained on it for several seconds, and during those seconds, the figure did not shift, did not sway, and showed no response to the light or the person below. There was a quality to its stillness that felt less like an object at rest, and more like something that was fully aware and simply choosing not to move. The branches around it were dark and bare. Nothing else was up there. When the camera shifted slightly, the figure was still in the same position. It had not moved during the entire time the lens was on it. The person recording did not speak. The night remained silent around them both. The footage ended without resolution. No closer look, no explanation, No follow-up from anyone who might have climbed up to investigate. Just a white shape, high in the branches, on a night when the wind had stopped and the leaves had gone completely still. It was quiet and overcast, the kind of morning where the light barely reaches the forest floor. Somewhere along the deeper stretch of the trail, her dog suddenly stopped and refused to move forward. The woman looked up from the path to see what had caused it. What she saw between the trees was a full human-shaped figure, hovering silently just above the ground. It was pale, still, and attached to nothing she could see.
Imagine being on your trail run and then seeing this.
It drifted gently in the quiet air, as if it had been there long before she arrived and had no interest in her presence. She slowly backed away and did not return to that trail for several weeks. When she finally went back, she stopped at the same spot and saw it again and recorded it. Just trees, silence, and the memory of something shaped like a person floating quietly in the morning air. If you were walking alone that morning and your dog suddenly stopped, would you have looked up? Trail camera placed deep in the woods was suddenly triggered. A camper staying in the area had mentioned how unusually quiet the forest tends to be at that hour. No wind, no movement, nothing to disturb the stillness. So when the user later reviewed the footage, he wasn't expecting to find anything worth a second look. But something near a tree in the frame immediately gave him pause. A strange shape was visible just beside the tree, subtly different from the surrounding darkness, slightly out of place against the natural background. He couldn't immediately identify it, and that uncertainty was enough to push him to share the image online. The post gained attention quickly. Viewers began offering explanations. Some argued it was simply a tree stump, natural forest growth, or an odd arrangement of branches caught in the camera's flash. Others pointed to pareidolia, the well-documented tendency of the human mind to find familiar shapes within random patterns, particularly in darkness. A few commenters suggested he return to the same spot in daylight and take a comparison photograph to settle the debate. But one question stayed with him long after the thread went quiet. If that shape was nothing more than part of the tree, if it was only wood and shadow and the mind playing tricks, then what exactly walked through those woods that night and triggered the camera in the first place? The image came from a Ring doorbell camera installed at a home situated along the Appalachian Trail in North Carolina, a region surrounded by dense forest and very little nearby activity. A camper passing through that same stretch of trail had once described how unnervingly quiet and isolated the area feels once darkness sets in. At first glance, the photograph appeared completely ordinary, just another routine doorbell capture from a quiet night. But the longer you studied the frame, the more something felt wrong. Near the entrance of the home, a small upright figure could be seen standing in a position that didn't clearly match any recognizable shape or form. The user described it as resembling a little person, though its exact outline remained difficult to define. Without any motion to reference, the still image left far too much open to interpretation, making it nearly impossible to determine what was truly standing there. As the image spread across the platform, viewers began offering explanations. Some suggested it could be an animal caught mid-movement, a cat, a bird, or small wildlife distorted by the camera's exposure. But without video footage, there was no way to confirm how it moved, how tall it actually stood, or where it came from. If something appeared that close to your front door in the dead of night and no explanation ever came, would you feel safe staying inside? It began with a man hiking deep inside a national forest, well beyond any marked trail, the kind of place where, as a camper exploring the same region once noted, there are no signs of other people, and the silence feels total. Moving through the dense woodland, The hiker came across something he had no reason to expect: a small, man-made cabin sitting quietly among the trees. It looked abandoned. It looked forgotten. And yet something about it felt deeply out of place. What he found inside made the unease immediate. A hole had been cut into the floor, unpacked with sandbags and covered in flies. Around the exterior of the structure, makeshift arrangements of bottles had been placed, with clear intention positioned to produce noise if disturbed, as though designed to alert someone of an approaching visitor. But the most deeply troubling discovery waited outside. On a nearby tree, objects had been nailed directly into the bark photographs of people: belt buckles, bottle caps, keychains, and rings, all arranged with a deliberateness that felt less like decoration and far more like a collection. Someone had been gathering these things. Someone had been keeping them. No one was found at the site. No explanation was left behind. After the hiker shared his discovery online, the response was nearly unanimous: leave and do not return. Whatever that cabin was built for, it was not built to be stumbled upon by a stranger passing through. If you found yourself standing in front of a place like that, hidden where no one was ever supposed to look, would you stay to understand it, or walk away without ever looking back? The woman sharing a disturbing experience from an evening walk in a quiet forest. A camper staying nearby had also noticed how empty the area had become that evening. For months, she had seen the same man sitting on the same bench almost every day. He never spoke, never interacted, and simply stared ahead. At first, it felt unsettling, but nothing more. That evening, as she walked past the bench, the man stood up moments later and began following her. Sensing something was wrong, she turned around and walked back the way she came, but the man stopped, turned, and followed her again. Realizing the situation was serious, she sat down on a bench and kept pepper spray hidden in her hand. The man walked past her and sat on another bench nearby, remaining within view. She quietly opened her phone camera and noticed his behavior change in a way that made the situation even more disturbing. When he realized he was being recorded, he quickly tried to hide, returned to the bench, adjusted himself, and then walked away. Shaken, she ran and contacted forest guards, but even after searching, the man was never found. The experience stayed with her long after. If someone watched you in silence for days, would you ignore it or trust your instincts? With a photo taken back in 2020 that was recently rediscovered, the person who captured it doesn't remember why the photo was taken in the first place. A camper visiting the home at the time had also taken a few random pictures, adding to the confusion. At first, the image seemed ordinary, with nothing immediately standing out. But when he showed the photo to his girlfriend, her reaction was immediate. In the image, just above a chair, a strange face appeared to be watching. What made it more unsettling was the location. It was her childhood home, a place filled with familiar memories. The person who shared the photo admitted he did not believe in anything paranormal, yet something about the image felt difficult to ignore. He later shared it online, asking others for their opinions. Some suggested it could be burnt wood or damaged material reflecting sunlight in an unusual way. It might have been nothing more than a trick of light and texture. Still, the image left an uneasy feeling behind. If you saw a face like that in a place you once called home, would you try to explain it or quietly look away? With a Reddit user who shared an experience after witnessing the Brown Mountain Lights from Wise Man's View in North Carolina. A camper standing nearby had also been watching the vast darkness stretch beyond the viewpoint. Below them was a steep cliff, and beyond it, miles of dense wilderness disappearing into the night. The area felt quiet and distant, with no visible signs of human activity. According to the user, more than 15 bright lights suddenly appeared across the mountainside, They seemed to hover and move in areas where no roads are known to exist. The sight was unusual, especially given the isolation of the region. Reports of these lights go back over a century, with some of the earliest accounts dating to around 1910, and many witnesses have described similar glowing movements in the same area. Over the years, different explanations have been suggested, including natural causes like geological or mineral-related activity. Still, no single explanation has ever been universally accepted. The lights continue to appear without warning, leaving those who see them searching for answers. If you stood there in the dark and watched those lights move across the mountains, would you try to explain them or simply watch in silence? After a group of campers shared footage from a trail camera they had placed in Dry Fork Canyon, one of the cameras was placed only a few feet from their tent. At around 3:50 in the morning, while the entire camp was asleep, the camera suddenly activated. The figure that stepped into view appeared strangely human, but something about it didn't feel right. It moved upright near the camera, its shape pale and unfamiliar against the darkness of the trees. The movement was slow and deliberate, almost cautious, as if it knew the camera was there. For a brief moment, it lingered in front of the lens before continuing past the campsite and fading into the shadows of the forest. The campers later said the location sits only about 30 miles from the mysterious Skinwalker Ranch, a place long connected with unexplained sightings. When they reviewed the footage the next day, the quiet night suddenly felt much less peaceful. Whether it was a person, something unknown, or something that simply didn't want to be seen. The camera never recorded it again, but knowing something passed only a few feet from their tent while they slept raises an unsettling thought. If your trail camera caught something like that outside your camp at 3:50 a.m., would you go back there again? In the dark, shadowy forests of the Appalachia region, one man's night takes a terrifying turn. As he struggles to close the door of his home, his dog suddenly starts barking frantically toward the woods. The calm night is shattered. And then, silence. A pause that feels heavier than anything. That's when it comes. A blood-curdling, inhuman scream rising from the darkness. It's not an animal. It's not human. It sounds almost like something is trying to imitate a human voice, but failing. The man panics. He leaves the door ajar and rushes away, breathing fast, heart pounding. The fear in that brief moment is palpable. You can feel how real it was for him. The scream seems to stretch into the night, echoing through the trees as if something unseen is watching, waiting, drawing him and anyone else into the woods. The tension builds not just from what you see, but from what you imagine might be lurking just beyond the tree line. What makes this even creepier is that the sound matches legends from Appalachia. Stories of mysterious entities that lure people into the forest, never to return. There's no clear answer, no visible culprit, just the question that lingers long after the video ends. So, what was really out there in the darkness that night? A few friends went deep into the jungle to see wild animals up close. It was broad daylight, and they were excited, talking, pointing their camera into the trees, hoping to capture something rare. The air felt heavy, but nothing seemed unusual. And then, without warning, a lion stepped out from the bushes right in front of them. Huge, muscular, staring straight at the group. For a second, nobody moved. Then panic hit. Someone shouted, "Run!" They all turned and sprinted toward their vehicle parked a short distance away. You can hear the camera shaking as one of them keeps recording, breathing fast, branches snapping under their feet. Most of them managed to reach the car, but one friend slipped behind. And in just seconds, a lion charged. The attack was sudden and brutal. The camera doesn't show everything clearly, but you can hear it. The growl, the scream, the chaos.
أختك الثلاثة والله أكلتها. No 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 no. لا إله إلا الله. بدي تعصفني.
Then the others screamed and cried from inside the vehicle as the lions dragged their friend away into the jungle. The person recording never stopped filming. From inside the car, you can hear sobbing, helpless cries echoing through the trees as the reality sinks in. They came to see wildlife. They didn't expect to become part of it. The jungle went quiet again, almost like nothing had happened. So if you were standing there in that moment, would you have known what to do any differently? A man went deep into a dense forest during the daytime, carrying a gun and planning to camp alone. The trees were thick, sunlight barely cutting through the canopy. He was filming casually, showing the quiet surroundings, talking like everything was under control. And then, out of nowhere, the bushes behind him exploded with movement. A bear charged straight at him. No warning. No time to think. He tried to raise his gun. You can see the camera shake violently as he stumbles backward. There's a loud thud as he falls hard onto the ground. After that, the footage becomes chaotic. Leaves, dirt, sky flashing across the frame. The only clear thing you hear is his groaning. Deep, painful sounds as the bear overwhelms him. No clear visuals of the attack, just the terrifying audio of a man struggling in the middle of nowhere. And then, the clip cuts off. No aftermath. No update. Later, no confirmed information was released about whether he survived or not. The forest went silent again. So if you were alone in the wilderness and something that powerful charged at you, would you even have a second to react? A solo camper was riding his bike down a narrow dirt path in the middle of the day. Sunlight pouring through the trees, birds chirping, everything feeling completely normal. It was the kind of peaceful trail people take to clear their heads. And then, he heard it. Soft at first, almost blending in with the wind, but unmistakable. It sounded like a woman crying, not laughing, not calling out. Crying.
रोड कितने खराब है यार. अबे रोने की आवाज कहाँ से आ रही है? अबे कहाँ से आ रही भाई ये आवाज? क्या सीन है भाई ये? Hello?
He slows the bike. The sound comes again. Clearer this time. A broken, desperate sob. Like someone in real pain. He pulls over completely and turns off the engine. Now it's just silence. Except for that crying. Coming from somewhere deeper in the trees. He calls out. "Hello, are you okay?" No response. Just more crying. Same tone, same rhythm. Not moving. Not getting closer, not getting farther away, just there. But the woods are empty. No movement, no figure, nothing. Now his voice starts to shake. He calls out again, louder this time. "Who's crying?" And just like that, the sound stops. Instantly. No fading, no footsteps running away. Just dead silence. The kind that makes your ears ring. That's when fear hits him. He rushes back to his bike, her heart pounding, and speeds off without looking back. Later, he said the crying didn't sound human anymore once he replayed it in his head. It sounded almost staged. So if no one was there, then who or what was crying in the middle of those woods in broad daylight? A young man was exploring a long, dark tunnel when he started hearing strange noises echoing from deep inside. At first, he thought it might be an injured animal or something harmless. So curiosity got the better of him, and he decided to investigate. The air felt heavy, the walls closing in, each step echoing unnaturally as he moved forward. Then, it happened.
What the hell? Hello? What the f*** was that?
A sudden, terrifying scream ripped through the tunnel. It wasn't animal. It wasn't human in any familiar way. The sound froze him in place for a heartbeat. Then his instincts kicked in. Heart racing, he spun around and ran as fast as he could, the echo of that inhuman scream following him all the way out. The video ends with his frantic breathing and the dark tunnel behind him. Whatever was inside, it wasn't friendly. So the question is, if you heard that scream echoing through a tunnel, would you have had the courage to keep going? A group of friends went deep into the jungle for a weekend camping trip, miles away from the nearest town, and surrounded by thick trees and total darkness. That night, as they sat around their small campfire, laughing and telling stories, one of them noticed something strange in the distance. Far beyond the tree line, deep inside the dense forest, a sudden flash of light burst into the sky. It wasn't lightning. The sky was clear, and it wasn't a passing car. They were too far from any road. At first, they brushed it off. Maybe someone else camping. Maybe a flare. But then it happened again. This time, brighter. The entire sky above the jungle lit up for a split second, like a giant camera flash going off in the distance. One of them started recording. You can hear their voices shift from joking to nervous.
เธอก็กลับสีมันระเบิดแล้วเธอจะอยู่ทำไปอะไรฉันให้เธออัดคลิปอัดอยู่เนี่ยเธอกลับรถไปห่วยรู้ว่าระเบิดก็รีบกลับตชดอยู่ในนั้นเยอะอยู่เด้อตชดคืออะไรลูกตำรวจชายแดนโอ้โหอุ้ยไปเร็วๆทำไมมันลงมันระเบิดเองเหรออุ้ยแม่ไปอยู่ห่วยอยู่ทำไปอะไร
The light kept appearing every few minutes. Flash, darkness, flash again. Each time stronger, almost rhythmic, like something powering up. But there was no sound, no thunder, no explosion, just light swallowing the treetops and then vanishing. The friends stood there frozen, staring into the darkness, waiting for the next burst. And when it came, it was the brightest yet, illuminating the entire canopy, casting long shadows toward their camp. And then, nothing. No more flashes, just deep jungle silence. They didn't sleep that night. The next morning, they searched the area from a distance and found no burn marks, no other camps, no signs anyone had been there. So what was producing a light powerful enough to brighten the entire sky from the heart of an empty jungle? It's just another normal night drive. Dash cam rolling, headlights cutting through an empty stretch of road. And then, out of nowhere, there's something blocking the way. Debris, maybe a stalled object, just enough to force the driver to slow down. For a split second, it feels like a minor inconvenience. But then the shadows move. Figures step out from both sides of the road. Fast, coordinated, closing in. Within seconds, it's clear this isn't an accident. It's a setup. Armed silhouettes rush toward the vehicle, trying to box it in. The tension is unreal. You can almost feel the driver's heartbeat through the screen. But instead of freezing, he reacts, instantly throws the car into reverse. Tires screech. The engine roars. The group starts chasing, I trying to surround the car before it can escape. The vehicle whips around with inches to spare and launches back down the road, disappearing into the darkness before the trap can fully close. Text overlays flash warnings. Attempted carjacking/robbery setup. Never stop in isolated areas. Trust your instincts. Escape first, questions later. And that's why clips like this go viral, because it shows how fast an ordinary moment can turn into a life or death decision. When the road becomes a trap, hesitation is the real danger. So if you were behind that wheel, would your instincts kick in fast enough before they closed the circle? The storm rolled in fast, dark clouds swallowing the sky. 1 second, the world was normal. The next, a blinding flash of lightning struck right over the house. There was no delay between the flash and the thunder. 0 seconds. It was like the storm had dropped its fury straight onto the roof, shaking windows and rattling doors. You can hear the faint hum of fear in the background as the camera trembles, capturing the raw, immediate power of nature. For a moment, everything freezes. Smoke or dust rises from the strike, and the house seems suspended in that split second between awe and terror. The sheer intensity is hard to look away from. Beautiful, deadly, and absolutely unforgiving. It's a moment that reminds you just how small we are compared to the forces above us. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, how terrifying would it be to witness lightning strike your house directly above you? The footage begins in the deep ocean. Calm. Quiet. Just the steady sound of bubbles as a diver films the endless blue around her. The water feels peaceful, almost hypnotic. She moves slowly, focused on what's in front of her. But behind her, something shifts in the darkness. At first, it's just a shadow. Then it becomes clear. A massive great white shark gliding silently closer. The terrifying part is how unaware she is. The shark doesn't thrash or rush. It moves with slow, controlled power, closing the gap inch by inch. The silence of the water makes it worse. No warning sound, no sudden splash. Just a predator approaching from behind while the camera keeps rolling. And then the moment changes. Tension spikes as the reality of what's happening sets in.
Perfect, Johnny. Look at it. Right there. Ow!
There's no dramatic music, no edits, just raw footage of how quickly a peaceful dive can turn into a life or death encounter. The ocean may look calm on the surface, but beneath it, you're never truly alone. So if you were that diver, would you have sensed the danger before it was too late? At first, it looks like a sandstorm rolling across the horizon of the Sahara Desert. The sky darkens, the air thickens, but then you realize it's moving differently. It's alive. A massive locust swarm, millions, sometimes billions of insects, sweeping across the desert like a shifting, buzzing cloud. The sound alone is overwhelming, like distant rain mixed with static. Locust swarms form when conditions are just right. Rainfall, vegetation growth, rapid breeding. And once their numbers explode, they travel hundreds of kilometers searching for food. When they descend, fields can be stripped bare within hours. Crops, trees, anything green. Entire agricultural regions across North Africa, the Middle East, and parts of Asia have historically suffered severe damage during major outbreaks. A single large swarm can consume as much food in one day as thousands of people. Scientists now track these swarms carefully using satellites and field monitoring because once they grow to full scale, and stopping them becomes incredibly difficult. Watching that living cloud move across the desert, swallowing the horizon, you can't help but wonder, if it suddenly changed direction, how long would it take to erase everything in its path? The video opens on a stormy lakeside, wind howling, rain hitting the water, and then you see it, a fallen power line dangling into the lake, glowing blue beneath the surface. At first it almost looks unreal, like special effects. But then the fish start reacting, hundreds of them, thrashing, jumping out of the water, surfacing all at once in total chaos. The water itself seems alive, vibrating with a silent, invisible force. Some people in the comments claim it's AI, but incidents like this have happened before, including verified reports from early 2026 near Table Rock Lake, where storm damage caused power lines to collapse into the water by electrocuting fish in large numbers. When high-voltage AC lines, often carrying between 7,200 and 34,500 volts, hit a body of water, the current spreads rapidly. Fish are extremely sensitive to electrical fields. The shock disrupts their nervous systems instantly, triggering violent disorientation known as electrotaxis, and then death. Watching the footage, the most disturbing part isn't the glow, it's how fast it happens. One moment the lake is calm, the next, it turns into a lethal electric field. No explosion, no dramatic warning, just invisible energy moving silently through the water. So if a single fallen line can turn an entire shoreline deadly in seconds, how safe are our power grids when storms hit? In a quiet, remote village, a local resident captured something that has the internet buzzing. A small, but strange creature that looks almost like a foal, but something about it is off. Its proportions are unusual, its movements unsettling. The video has gone viral, leaving people everywhere questioning what they're seeing. Is it real? A trick of the light? Or something far more mysterious? Some locals insist it's a rare genetic anomaly or mutation, while others are convinced it's the legendary chupacabra. Scientists haven't weighed in, and speculation is running wild. And neighbors insist they've never seen anything like it before, which only adds to the mystery. Every frame of the video leaves more questions than answers. Where did it come from? Why does it look so unnatural? Whatever it is, one thing is clear. It doesn't look like any normal animal. Tiny, strange, and a little creepy. It could be a mutation, a new species, or even something unknown to science. So the real question is, if you saw it standing in front of you in the wild, would you get closer or run? At the National Championship air races in Reno, pilot Tom Richard came closer to disaster than anyone could imagine. Preparing for takeoff in his Formula One plane Precious Metal, he noticed engine trouble and wisely aborted the launch. He shut down the engine, opened the canopy, and raised his hands, signaling he was out of the race. But safety in air racing is razor thin. Moments later, John Parker, piloting Sawbones directly behind Richard, began his takeoff roll. The footage is tense. Parker's aircraft sped straight toward Richard's stationary plane. At the very last second, Parker veered slightly, but his right wing struck Richard's open canopy and brushed his raised hand, missing his head by inches. The canopy shattered. Parker's wing suffered minor damage, yet both pilots stayed remarkably calm. Richard climbed out unharmed, signaling he was safe, and the race was immediately halted, and safety protocols were re-evaluated. Communication procedures, abort protocols, and takeoff spacing were all improved. This near miss serves as a chilling reminder of how little separates control from catastrophe in high-speed aviation. So, if you were in that cockpit, would you have stayed calm or frozen in terror? Deep in the quiet corners of the forest lives the fern hugger, a plant that seems almost alive. Touch its delicate leaves, and they fold inward in an instant, like it's shyly retreating or giving you a secret, leafy hug. It's a simple movement, but watching it feels magical, like the plant is aware of your presence.
Он живой.
Every touch turns a normal moment in the forest into something mysterious, almost alive. But this isn't magic. It's nature's clever trick. The fern's cells shift water pressure in seconds, folding the leaves to protect themselves from harm. It's fast, precise, and completely intentional. Every movement is a reminder that even the smallest living things have hidden intelligence, and the forest is full of secrets, waiting for someone curious enough to notice. So the next time you wander into a dense forest and brush against a fern, would you pause and see it fold back at you? Or would you keep walking, missing the tiny miracle hiding right under your fingertips? Late at night, the man was walking along the side of an empty road when he noticed something disturbing: a woman repeatedly stabbing a knife into the ground. The moment he began recording, she slowly turned and stared straight at him. Her face stayed hidden in the darkness, but the feeling in the air instantly shifted.
I didn't do anything.
Then, without a sound or warning, she was suddenly standing right beside him. Calm and emotionless, she said she hadn't done anything. He wasn't in a car, yet there was no explanation for how she closed the distance so fast. The clip never shows an attack, but the encounter alone was enough to shake him. A woman, a knife, a silent road, and no one else around. If something like this happens when you're completely alone, who would help you? Or even believe you? And is this why you should never go camping alone? A video claiming to show a Duenda has taken the internet by storm. In the footage, a woman walks alone along a quiet trail when she suddenly stops and crouches down, as if she senses something nearby. She appears to raise her digital camera, possibly trying to photograph something she can't fully see. As the person filming zooms in, something unnatural happens. A small, shadowy figure suddenly bursts into view, moving at an impossible speed behind her. It runs toward a nearby tree and vanishes in a split second. Moments later, the camera catches the figure again, this time hiding inside a narrow crack in the tree, watching. The woman turns around, but never notices it. The clip spread rapidly online, and with many dismissing it as an edit, while others claim it matches ancient stories of duendes, creatures said to live in forests and observe humans from the shadows. The video remains unexplained. If these beings have been hiding in the woods for centuries, what makes us think they've stopped watching us now? A group of friends went deep into the forest to camp, expecting a quiet night. Sometime after midnight, they began scanning the area around them when something strange caught their attention above the trees. Resting on top of a tall tree was a glowing red ball of light. It wasn't flickering, and it didn't move like anything familiar. Shocked but curious, they immediately started recording.
Astaga. Nyala bay. Kuyang bay. Wush. Wih, kemana itu? Kujang bay. Ayo kejar. Sana tadi dia, Den. Nih, lewat sini tadi. Ke sini tadi dia. Lewat sini tadi dia. Nih, ke sini. Masuk ke sela-sela itu berarti. Iya kan?
As they watched, the object suddenly dropped straight down from the tree and vanished into the darkness below. Without hesitation, they rushed toward the spot where it fell, determined to see what it was. But when they reached the area, there was nothing. No light, no marks on the ground, no sign that anything had ever been there. The forest was completely silent. And the question is, if they went straight to where it fell and found nothing at all, what exactly did they see glowing in the trees that night? During the daytime, a person was walking along a narrow path deep inside the forest. The trail was steep and uneven, winding between high ridges, and at first, everything seemed normal. Birds chirped faintly, and the sun filtered through the trees, casting dappled light on the ground. But then, something strange happened. From somewhere along the path, they heard soft, hissing whispers, words that seemed almost directed at them.
Hola. Ay, no mames. Güey, ¿qué pedo? No mames. A ver. ¿Qué se oye?
The voice was eerie, almost like it was slipping through the wind itself, repeating sounds that made no sense, yet somehow felt personal. They called out, hoping to find someone, anyone. But the forest stayed silent. A chill ran down their spine. Heart racing, they realized they were completely alone. But the voice persisted. Fear overwhelmed them, and they bolted down the trail as fast as they could, adrenaline taking over, terrified of what might be following or watching. And the question lingers: if the forest can speak to you in whispers, unseen and unheard by anyone else, who or what is really listening? Late at night, a man is running across a narrow wooden bridge, using only a small light to guide his way. The area around him is pitch black, completely surrounded by forest. As he reaches the end of the bridge, he notices something ahead, a dark shape, almost human, moving unnaturally from one side to the other. It doesn't reflect the light. It doesn't make a sound. It just slips across the path like it knows he's there. When he finally reaches that exact spot, the situation becomes even worse. Suddenly, a second shadow appears right beside him. This isn't the shadow of a tree or part of the bridge. There's nothing there that could cast it. At the same time, strange animal-like sounds can be heard in the background, low and unsettling, but echoing through the darkness as if something is watching from the woods. Later, while reviewing the footage, he realizes something terrifying. This time, my eyes didn't see what the camera did. Watching the video back makes his skin crawl, because the shadow is clearer than he remembers, too clear to explain. So if your eyes can miss it, but the camera can't, what do you think was really standing next to him on that bridge? During the daytime, a man took his small board out onto the river to fish. The weather was calm, the water mostly still, and everything felt routine. He stood focused on the water ahead, expecting nothing more than a quiet day on the river. Without warning, the water beside him began to move in a strange way. It wasn't normal ripples or the splash of a fish. The surface churned and shifted unnaturally, as if something large was moving just beneath him. The motion felt deliberate, too strong, too controlled, and it stayed close, circling his board instead of passing by.
Yeah. That was one. I think there's 20 of them.
Nothing ever broke the surface. No animal appeared. No explanation followed. The water slowly settled back into silence, leaving him shaken and confused about what he had just witnessed. And the question is, if nothing surfaced that day, what was powerful enough to move the river so deliberately right beside him? A video has been circulating online, quickly going viral for showing what appear to be two childlike figures moving in the middle of the night. The footage was captured in a desolate field, where two people were walking and suddenly noticed small silhouettes in the darkness ahead.
Ay, no mames. Son dos niñas. Son dos niñas. Ay, no mames. ¿Qué pedo? Son dos niñas. Son dos niñas. Son dos niñas. Ven. Niñas. Hey.
The figures remained distant and indistinct, barely visible against the night. Their movements are subtle, almost unnatural, making it hard to tell whether they are alive or something else entirely. The atmosphere feels heavy, silent except for the faint sounds of the night, as if the field itself is holding its breath. The video has sparked countless reactions online. Some viewers insist it's proof of paranormal activity, while others believe it's a clever hoax. But if these figures are real, what could be watching in the darkness when no one else is around? A snowboarder was buried beneath a wall of snow, the silence and weight pressing down like nothing else in the world. Only the tip of the board remained visible, upright like a lonely flag. Beneath it, a single hand reached out, driven purely by instinct. In that razor-thin moment between life and death, the mind narrows. Every thought, every movement, focuses on one single thing that could save you. A pull, a gasp, one breath, and suddenly survival is possible. Later, when the snow settles and the immediate danger passes, the real challenge begins. Shaking and adrenaline slowly fade, leaving space for the mind to catch up. Survivors describe a strange, fierce clarity, a gratitude that's almost painful because it comes from knowing how close the edge really was. This is post-traumatic growth, the slow rebuilding after nearly losing everything, where fear transforms into purpose and appreciation. The memory lingers long after the mountain is calm again. That moment of survival teaches something subtle but profound. In life or death situations, attention sharpens in ways you never imagined, and even the smallest instinct can mean the difference between life and death. And the question is, if your world collapsed around you, what single choice would your mind focus on to save yourself? On August 5th, 2025, Andrew Clifton was walking his dog through the Malvern Hills, casually filming short clips on his iPhone while throwing a frisbee. It was a calm, ordinary day. Nothing felt strange in the moment. The landscape was quiet, the sky looked empty, and the footage seemed like nothing more than a personal memory from a peaceful walk outdoors. Later that evening, while reviewing and editing the clips at home, Clifton noticed something unsettling in one segment, played back in slow motion. Far in the distance, a small object suddenly appears, approaching at an extreme speed. It doesn't move randomly. Instead, it makes a sharp, turn-like maneuver, almost as if adjusting its path before straightening its trajectory and continuing forward. The motion looks precise, controlled, and unlike anything easily explained. What makes the clip disturbing is how difficult the object's velocity is to estimate and how briefly it appears before vanishing from view. There's no sound, no visible source, and no warning, just a fleeting moment caught by chance. And that raises an even darker thought. If that object had been just a little closer, if it had struck him instead of passing by, would anyone have ever known what really hit him that day? While hiking deep in a remote mountain range, the man began to realize something was wrong. The trail he was following wasn't leading toward the structure he had clearly seen on Google Earth. Instead, with every step, it seemed to pull him farther away, into terrain that felt untouched and unnervingly silent. The deeper he went, the more the landscape changed. The path narrowed, the air felt heavier, and the sense of being watched grew stronger. It no longer felt like a simple navigation error. It felt deliberate, like the trail itself was guiding him somewhere he was never meant to find. What waited ahead wasn't the structure he was searching for, but something far more disturbing. A discovery that raised more questions than answers.
Just through here in the trees, I can see a structure. Can you see it? Sat in the rock. But this is when things started to go wrong. The trail began heading in the wrong direction. And I am remote, and that's not what I want. But right now he's friendly and he's leading me down the trail. I just make sure he keeps his distance. It's just a shame. Usually I'm not like this with dogs. I love dogs, but I just don't want to get bitten. He's taking me down to... This looks like a camp. I don't think I should be here.
So if the trail wasn't leading him where he wanted to go, then what was it leading him to? And why? On August 21st, a short trip to Assiniboine Lake led to camping beneath the mountain near the river. A woman left her cats behind in the camper for a quick solo adventure. It was early morning, the sun just beginning to touch the lake, and the forest was quiet, except for the trickle of a nearby stream. She waited a little longer, letting the tent dry, unaware that she wasn't alone. Then she heard it. A heavy step sounded just outside the tent. Her heart skipped a beat. She grabbed her bear spray and froze. Horror movie style, the shadow of a massive grizzly claw appeared on the side of the tent. The bear sniffed and pawed, testing the space. She stayed perfectly still, inching back slowly.
And at that point, I could kind of tell that he was more interested in the tent. They are still in the woods that are, so like tents down there, and they are like in here. And I can hear sticks and stuff cracking every now and again. Bear spray holder. Sleeping bag. I know we dragged it. See if I can find my shoes.
After what felt like an eternity, the bear wandered back into the woods, leaving her shaken but unharmed. And the question is, if a grizzly can appear silently beside a tent, how close would you be before realizing your life depended on staying calm? A woman named Haley was exploring the Appalachian mountains, camping by a river during the day. She sat on a big rock, relaxing, smoking, and enjoying the view. She recorded a short video talking about the mountains and the peaceful moment. Everything felt calm at first, but then she began to feel uneasy, like someone was watching. On camera, she mentioned the air felt heavy and strange. When she rewatched the footage later, she noticed something terrifying. Just as she started feeling uneasy, a faint voice whispered, "Hey," in the background. She hadn't heard it at the time, but it was clearly there in the recording.
I don't even smoke cigarettes, but it warm you up, you know? I'm fucking cold. I felt like there was somebody behind me, but
The feeling of being watched grew stronger, and she kept scanning the surroundings, seeing no one, but the mountains behind her seemed darker, creepier, almost hiding something. The longer she stayed, the heavier the atmosphere became, as if something was standing just out of sight. Haley eventually ended the video and left immediately, saying the whole place suddenly felt wrong, and she didn't feel safe staying any longer. And the question is, if the mountains can watch silently and whisper without being seen, how would you know when to leave before it's too late? A group had set up a fire camp on the roof of an abandoned house late at night. The fire crackled as they talked quietly, when suddenly one of them heard a strange, unnatural sound coming from below. It wasn't an animal, and it didn't sound human either. Something about it felt wrong. Curious and uneasy, the person followed the sound to the edge of the roof and slowly zoomed the camera downward into the darkness. That's when they saw it. A small, childlike figure standing below, staring straight up. Its face looked burned, almost melted, and its eyes were completely white. The figure didn't move. It just stood there, silently watching. The fire behind them continued to crackle, unaware of what was below. If something like that was looking up at them from the dark, how long had it been there before anyone noticed? Now, drop a comment with the scariest thing that's ever happened to you outdoors. And if these clips genuinely creeped you out, hit like. Subscribe too, because your story might end up in the next compilation.